Hi, this is Nathan Anderson with Yogic-Visions. We're here this afternoon again at the Nurturing Nest Retreat and Spa in beautiful Desert Hot Springs, California. And we're speaking this afternoon with the manager here, Jason Lips. He has a wonderful testimonial about his own health and experiences he's gone through that he was willing to share with us today. Jason, how are you?
I'm well. How are you, Nathan?
Wonderful. Thanks. And thanks so much for sharing your story. When we chatted yesterday, it was really encouraging to hear the things you had to say. I know you went through a bit of a health crisis at one point.
Yeah, I did. It's kind of a long story as to how I got there, but I found myself with some toxicity issues, environmental toxicity, pharmaceutical toxicity, stress, and diet. And so I just found myself kind of declining with chronic fatigue syndrome and depression, anxiety, fibromyalgia, and things like that. And I just couldn't really function anymore, and my body just started to shut down, and I ended up disabled for a couple of years, and started to do some research as to why I was feeling so bad, and I found out there's a lot of stuff in our food that's not so good, and that the pharmaceuticals are pretty toxic, and so I started my healing journey. I found what I felt was the best diet for me was a raw vegan diet. Mm-hmm. And so I began the process of getting myself back together. I had a little stay in the hospital, just a short little blip in the hospital. Mm-hmm. My kidneys were shutting down and things like that. So I made the switch to the raw vegan diet, and I started to see a lot of results as the metals and the chemicals and toxins came out. And then kind of as an added benefit to all of this is I got my eyesight back and I got my hearing back. And I didn't really expect to have those things improve through all this, but it was kind of a nice little benefit. So, at my worst point, I would walk down the street or even a narrow alley, and a friend would call out my name and I couldn't recognize who they were. And I'd have to go over and talk to them and figure out who that person was. And so, after about a year of the raw food, I noticed my eyesight was improving, and I noticed that it was improving past the point where corrective lenses were comfortable for me anymore. And so I just kind of on a little blind faith, I just took them out. I took the contacts out and I took the glasses off, and I decided to see what happened. And my eyesight kept improving, and my hearing kept improving, and now I haven't had them tested, but I can see a lot better than anybody else I know, and I can read signage, and I can see far away, and friends' faces are very clear, and so it was a really a nice little bonus.
That's wonderful.
To the raw food journey.
So you mentioned environmental and pharmaceutical. So these are things that you'd been prescribed by doctors?
Yeah, I was prescribed some medications by doctors for migraines, for acid reflux. General pain, things like, ibuprofen and Tylenol. I know I'm dropping names, but those things are, pretty toxic. And so if you take those for headaches, you take those for body aches, sports injuries, and things like that, you get, an accumulation of those things. So it was a combination of prescribed pharmaceuticals, coming from doctors, and as well as some over-the-counter medications.
Okay, but so you stopped those medications and went to a clean diet?
Yeah.
And they left your system over time?
Yeah, and it took about a year to just get everything out, and then it took probably close to another year to get to where I felt normal and had some strength, and was dealing with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue for almost the whole time. But diet has been an amazing journey, changing those things, and it really is the living foods and the raw foods that really help us.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, we had a wonderful conversation at a raw foods restaurant, and they were giving us a lot of the same information on the back end of saying, look, by taking this type of diet, you can maintain your health.
Absolutely.
But it's really inspirational to hear about a person who had to come back from a health scare by using the same type of an approach.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. And so you said you had corrective lenses for a time as well?
So, yeah, 22 years I wore glasses and contacts. And I took them out over a year and a half ago. I haven't put them in, haven't worn them, haven't needed them.
That's great. And
my hearing has improved so much that I can hear a fly buzzing a couple of rooms away, and that can be a little annoying at times, but it's pretty remarkable. And you don't really notice how far things have gotten, until you kind of hit, some people need to hit a point, some people just need to see something or hear something inspirational to get going in the right direction. For me, it was kind of hitting that point where I just knew I needed to change, or it was my life or not.
Yeah. That's very inspirational. I'm hoping that other people that see this, won't have to go as far.
Yeah. And
that maybe by seeing, I like to say, a word to the wise is sufficient. So maybe hearing your story will help other people, fix the things that they need to maintain their health.
Yeah.
Before it gets too far.
Yeah.
Well, we really appreciate you sharing your story with us. It's very inspirational. Our video is for the eyes, so to hear that it impacts the whole system, but also the eyes as well, is really great news. So thanks so much for sharing your story with us.
You're welcome. Thank you, Nathan.